Hello and a very warm welcome to the Ravnica Interplanar Gallery of Arts. Today we will have a short exhibition of Shocklands. Shocklands are among the most beloved and well-known lands within Magic history. Their ability to enter untapped so long life allows it, combined with these two magical words in their type bracket, which make them fetchable, made them into some of the best lands for multicolored decks. They first appeared in Dissension along with the highly influential Guilds of Ravnica. And even though the Shocklands, to this day, are primarily associated with the Guilds of Ravnica, there have been different interpretations on different planes over time. And of course, the depiction on Ravnica has changed over time too. In this series, we're going to take a close look at the several interpretations of the beloved and shockingly good lands. We'll start it off with the Azorius Senate, the legislative power here in Ravnica. Keen on control, order, blind justice, and preserving the status quo, they embody a rather bureaucratic approach towards the goal of peace and social perfection. A plaza before the court buildings and adorned with an overtowering fountain is depicted as Hallowed Fountains by Raoul Alexander in this first presentation of the Shockland. The Azorius Senate is here depicted in the style of European state-building architecture, combining classicistic and historistic elements like the Brandenburger Tor with Gothic towers like the Votivkirche rising in the back. Alexander presents us the Senate as something reminiscent of European aristocratic times, glorious and impressive in their presentation, but also hovering far above the people whose life they regulate. The giant statue in the fountain, striving for blind justice, and by that losing sight of the people beneath it, shows that too. These ideas and motives will be visible in all interpretations of Hallowed Fountains, as we can see in this artwork by Jung Park. Even though we here see a much more fantastical or even science-fictional approach, the core idea stays the same. Ginormous architecture that wants to impress. Half the job is done when one gets reminded of their position in relation to the ideal of true justice. Presenting an intriguing mixture between efficient and bureaucratic buildings, ornated with various style mixtures and the impressive fountain, the plaza presents a perfectly structured world imagined by the Azorius Senate. Here the flavor text winks at the rather irrational obsession of the Senate regarding rules and laws when it reads, "A place to relax, if you have the proper permit, that is." Chevrier now asks how this place must seem for someone entering the Senate. Putting us viewers at the bottom of the stairs, we must look up to the Plaza of Justice, as if we are about to enter one of the courtrooms and are getting one last reminder regarding the power of the Senate. We also see three little thopters flying around, showing the change between Chevrier's picture and Park's. By now, Dovin Baan is Guildmaster of Azorius and uses his little spy thopters, developed on Kaladesh, to spy on the citizens of Ravnica. The flavor text also lost the playful character and now reads, "The ever-watchful center of a growing web of eyes." The plaza gets an interesting conclusion with the artwork for the ExtraLife fundraiser by Yeong Hao Han. Here we see the fountain in the ruins after the devastating events in War of the Sparks. The plaza lost most of its intimidating look and seems vulnerable, showing that even a power as the Senate can perish. But what about Hallowed Fountains aside from Ravnica? In this artwork by Min, we see the fountain on Zendikar. There is no civilization, no law, no handmade statues. Here an island hovers above ground connected by vines and bridges. The hallowed aspect here relates not to an ideal like justice, but rather to something sacred within the nature of Zendikar itself. Like the statue, the fountain, and the buildings in Ravnica, the isle rises above the person in the foreground, presenting itself again as something seemingly unreachable, but nonetheless as something worth trying. The last incarnation is presented to us by Ruxing Gao. We see two statues back to back, again rising over a plaza. The flavor text tells us where we are. Two statues stand watch over the entrance of Valor's Reach, celebrating its two twin founders and its first champions. Valor's Reach means the gigantic stadium high above Cloudspire City, an arena for non-lethal combat most known for 2-on-2 combat. The ideal is not to kill the enemy team, but rather fight and prevail in style. The winner is not the most brutal or best in killing, but those who know how to express themselves within the art of battling. Marked by respect rather than despise for your opponent, Valor's Reach upholds many values. The Hallowed Fountain this time again refers to ideals rather than sacred nature, but in a vastly different notation than in Ravnica. Here it is about the honor of battle, the admiration of the founders of the arena, and a reminder for new fighters what this place is about. Something vastly different happens when one mixes blue mana with green instead of white. The blue drive for perfection is still apparent, but now it merges with the vital, ever-growing energy of green. The According Guild is a Simic combine. Here the focus lies on preserving, adapting, and overcoming. Consistent of doctors, scientists, and mages, the combine seeks to bring the most out of nature. They heal and save, but also actively evolve and adapt to all circumstances. The combine tries to let nature flourish in the city plane of Ravnica without dismissing the people who live in it. The Breeding Pool, by Rob Alexander, was the first Shockland within these colors, presenting the working rooms of the Simic, showing us the combination of unbound nature enhanced by science, as groves and slimy pods are hanging in a cave without any apparent structure or order. The mana twirls through mud and water, creating new beings and pushing nature one step further at a time. Opposed to the Hallowed Fountain, the Breeding Pool always change appearance and location, expressing the Simic combine's ability to change and flourish under any circumstance. The different breeding pools beautifully show that the only constant in a Simic life is change. While the first breeding pool seemed like a gritty, underworld laboratory, the pool by Mike Bierek presents like living quarters on a sea, accompanied by pets that grow bigger every day. Here we even more see the combination of structures built with the flow of nature, in harmony with trees, waterfalls, and seas. The pool by Jenn Ravenna presents the Simic combined in an altogether different picture. Here we see less nature, more structure, and more symmetry. Nature appears to be more tamed rather than unleashed. The artwork shows the change in leadership as Prime Speaker Vanifar takes over the combine, militarizing the Simic more than ever before with her Guardian project, mutating animal traits with man, elves, or Vedalkans. The Simic evolve into new heights and forms. Soldiers need structure, command, and order, meaning the combine must evolve once more. In the art by Yeong Hao Han, it appears that we again see the breeding pods for the Simic army, only this time destroyed, empty, while something burns within the chambers. Even the adaptability of the Simic can be broken down. When the breeding pool on Ravnica expresses the notion of nature and science, actively and willingly combined for the benefit of the greater good, the pool on Noah Bradley shows that even if societies vanish or change, what they leave behind still morphs the nature around it. Here we see a moss-covered hedron sunken in a lake. The hedrons, used to imprison and fend off the Eldrazi, are brimming with magical energy and radiate long after the Eldrazi were beaten. Here the hedron no longer floats high above, implying that their work is done, but still presenting itself as a reminder of the chaos and horror the Eldrazi brought, showing that to this day, the cultures of Zendikar, what they endured, and what they created breathes new life, as purple flowers flourish along the lakeside. The final interpretation of Breeding Pool by Aleksi Briclot takes us deep into the heart of the Phyrexian army. Ravnica strives to adapt in harmony, Zendikar showed how the past morphs the future, and Phyrexia shows the cruelty and horror of evolution. Here change is force, survival is the only rule that counts, and the price to pay for power is insufferable pain. As radiant green ooze is pouring into pools, we see a new Phyrexian soldier being born. Like with the last pool of the Simic, nature is tamed here. Ginormous structures appearing like sewers contain experimental probes, every specimen getting their own playground. Again, a change here is not meant for all purposes, but for the clear goal of building an all-consuming army. Derived from the twisted mind of two Phyrexian praetors, Chingitaxius, the core augur, describes his work with the words, "It is not a goal, but a process. The process of creating the perfect Phyrexia. A process he's willing to do anything for." Chingitaxius gets support by the voice of hunger itself, Vorinclex. Vorinclex incorporates nature in the form of a simple law, survival of the fittest. Weakness means you have no right to live in this world. The pool shows the result of their cruel collaboration, with Chingitaxius' ingenuity meets Vorinclex in humanity. The Shocklands, more than most other dual lands, show how differently the same mentality of a color combination can be interpreted and woven into the multiverse. Today we covered the Azorius and the Simic combined, the other guilds will follow shortly. What were your favorite artworks of the Shocklands today? As always, you can see which artist did which artwork in the info box, and thank you so much for visiting the Ravnica Gallery of Art today. We hope you had fun and see you next time.